think far too many people got caught up in this Cybertruck is delayed news. I mean, the stock dipped a bunch, and all these people were convinced Tesla's in trouble, and all these other electric trucks are coming out on the market, so that means something's wrong with the Cybertruck, and it will probably never happen. Seriously, there were headlines saying, like, Cybertruck is probably just an Elon Musk troll that will never exist. And I just had to discredit and address so many of these reports and just kind of give people the facts and what we know about Tesla and this upcoming Cybertruck product, okay? First of all, Elon Musk on numerous occasions, even recently at earnings calls, shareholder meetings, and in tweets that the Cybertruck is their best product ever, okay? So if the Cybertruck was a troll that was really just meant to be a joke and never actually come out, for Elon to come forward later and then also say, yeah, I think this will be the best product we ever make, and at AI Day talk about how lots of new hardware, the new full self-driving computer, upgraded cameras are all going to make their first debut in the Cybertruck, doesn't really fit that narrative, and he has time and time again said that his vehicle of choice, once all are available, is likely going to be a plaid Cybertruck of some kind. So he wants this truck for himself. He's admitted that some people may not like it, but he doesn't care. It's just everything he wants out of a vehicle. So I think that's evidence that yes, of course, the techno king of the company wants this thing to exist. Eventually, yes, it will exist. But let's talk about why it's been pushed back, and I think a lot of the panic surrounding the delay is unwarranted. First of all, some of the panic came from Reuters claiming that they have a source that told them that Cybertruck production had been delayed until 2023. Everyone made this seem like a much bigger deal than it really was if you consider that we'd known for months that the Cybertruck had been pushed back, partly because of supply chain issues with this little public health crisis you may have heard about, and simultaneously Tesla having issues with mass producing the 4680 batteries, which are crucial with the mass production of the Cybertruck. But as you know, all companies are facing shortages, all companies are not able to find an adequate way of building enough batteries for their EVs, and yet Tesla seems to have delivered more electric vehicles than anyone else by far in more recent history, and it should be noted that the Cybertruck is going to require more batteries than any vehicle in Tesla's current lineup. So of course, with Giga Texas coming online and them trying to build out new factories as quickly as possible, it makes sense for the profitability of the company, and also just from an overall demand perspective to prioritize the vehicle that's going to sell at higher volume. Crossovers are incredibly popular in the United States and also overseas, and we're already seeing a crap ton of people order the Fremont-built Model Y, so of course, once you've got 4680s ramped and structural battery packs accommodated, we're either going to see cheaper Model Ys or Model Ys with far better range, and even if they don't get cheaper and don't have better range, they're still going to be far more profitable for the company as a whole to build. Aside from the Model S and X, the Model Y is seeing the most pushback in terms of estimated deliveries from Tesla from the Fremont factory. Even though they're probably building more Model Ys than any other vehicle, tons of people want this thing, including myself. I'm in that camp too of like, yes, also I would like one, waiting to see what else you can come up with once the new factories come online. But of course they're going to prioritize that before the Cybertruck, because Cybertruck hasn't been released yet and is going to require some new manufacturing techniques that they haven't done before, like the exoskeleton and of course no paint shop, the mass production of Tesla armored glass, which hasn't been done. So there's a certain amount of uncertainty when it comes to mass production of the truck. But besides all that, it's going to need more batteries. To get a big vehicle like that to go over 300 miles, absolutely will take more cells than the Model Y. And up to 500-mile range, yeah, that's like basically unheard of in the electric pickup truck space, so that's going to require a crap ton of batteries, and it doesn't make sense to start out with that vehicle financially until you've ramped up 4680 production profitably, and that's what's being prioritized with the Model Y. So if you've been following the construction progress of Giga Texas, you know that Tesla is literally going as fast as they can. Sure, there may be some difficulties when coming up with mass production techniques with 4680 batteries, but I'm here to tell you probably something a little controversial that other creators or other Tesla bulls may not mention. I actually think the Cybertruck would have been delayed even if we didn't have the pandemic. Even without supply chain shortages and, you know, a lack of chips in the industry, the Cybertruck still would have been pushed back simply because the amount of time and energy it takes to find a way to mass produce this many batteries at this high a scale still would have been there. I actually don't think pandemic delayed the development of 4680 batteries. I think that just ended up being an engineering engineering challenge that, of course, took a bit longer than Elon expected. But given Elon most recently was telling us to not expect production of the Cybertruck to start until near the end of 2022, now there's some source claiming it's been pushed back to Q1 of 2023. Okay, that's like a couple of months that we're freaking out about, all right? A source that is not verifiable told us that production for a truck is now 2 or 3 months behind our last proven schedule. But also a lot of the panic came from Tesla removing the 2022 production target from the Cybertruck webpage. Okay, first of all, of course they would remove the 2022 timeline from the webpage, because if anyone's thinking about reserving a truck, they should probably account for the fact that there's already been 1 million or close to 2 million reservations for the Cybertruck. So if you haven't reserved one today, you're totally not going to get one in 2022. You probably aren't even going to get one in 2023. So setting expectations for new reservations makes a lot of sense, because you don't want people not buying other Teslas thinking, oh, I can get a Cybertruck later in 2022, or I can get it later in 2023, because it's already super back ordered. Like, they haven't even started production yet, and already there's probably enough orders to satisfy 4 years of production capacity. So if you don't have a Cybertruck reservation right now, you're going to be waiting a while. That's why it makes sense for them to update the terminology on the website. That doesn't mean there's been a production delay. I would still say it's possible for Cybertruck deliveries to be this year. It's just not likely. But if you know Tesla, and if you know how the company's been operating, you will understand why the Model Y is taking priority, and the fact there's literally no way they could have built Giga Texas faster. They are paying top tier for the best construction crews they can possibly get. Texas government allows them to move as fast as possible. There's probably not another state in the US where they could have built a factory faster. I personally think even if we didn't have the pandemic, Giga Texas probably still would have taken this long to build. It's a huge facility, and I've been watching the drone videos from Jeff Roberts and Joe Tegmeyer. Of course, it's gonna take a while to build a massive factory like this, and that's what you're gonna need to mass produce the Cybertruck. You can't just put up a few tents at Fremont and start redesigning exoskeletons and structural battery packs. You know, they're doing everything as fast as possible, and the deliveries speak for themselves. They're very, very smart with how they're handling the supply chain shortages and switching to different chips for the electronics and components inside the vehicle. And it's important to remember Tesla has been late on lots of things in the past, but they did eventually deliver on a lot of their promises, usually beating a lot of their original expectations. So Model X was 2 years late, Model S was a year late. Pretty much the only exceptions to the rule was the Model 3, which was on time, and the Model Y, which is actually ahead of schedule. But of course, with all of the challenges that come with scaling a company to go from a few 100,000 EVs a year to millions of EVs a year, there's gonna be a few delays for sure. Whenever a company is doing something that no other company has ever done before, there will be some challenges they didn't expect. But I do think the Cybertruck will actually come out. I do think it exists. There's all kinds of development going on internally. We just saw prototypes the other day, them experimenting with different designs and figuring out how to make it road legal. And because Elon is an engineer at heart and has spent so much of his life working at SpaceX, like a rocket scientist, they are constantly iterating. They are constantly changing plans and trajectories, and that means that inherently, yes, he's bad at predicting how long things will take, but the benefit of having someone that's so versatile and willing to change plans so quickly is that they're usually able to find the best way of doing something, and they're able to achieve things that no one else is able to achieve, which is what you need when you want to develop a product as ambitious as the Cybertruck, and when you want to profitably sell and scale production of millions of EVs a year. No one's done that before, so it's going to take someone that thinks things through a little bit differently than a traditional business person or a traditional automaker. For the record, I still predict the first Cybertruck deliveries to be in the first quarter of 2023, although I expect to learn a lot more about the Cybertruck in the next earnings call, which is not too long away, and I think throughout a lot of 2022, we'll be hearing about Cybertruck development internally, what they're ironing out, and then probably near the end of this year, we'll start seeing prototype units that employees are driving around, and it won't be easy to hide. Even if they had that stupid wrapping paper to try to disguise the Cybertruck, you'll know exactly what it is. And I'm hoping that on the shareholder deck, we can finally see the Cybertruck tab update from in development to under construction, because that's one of the final stages you see before Tesla's product enters mass production. So there's too much demand for it to be ignored. Elon loves it too much for it to not exist. It will happen. Just be patient. It'll take time. And thank you to everyone supporting this channel directly on Patreon, as well as everyone just watching the videos. That seriously helps me out a ton as well. Take care and have a great day.